Thank you for tuning in to the Think Status podcast. On today's show, we have Doug Devitre, who's a voice technology and marketing expert, who is also a certified trainer and public speaker across a variety of industries, primarily real estate. And on today's show, you're going to discover how to use voice technology to grow your business. Stay tuned. I was an audience member in one of your talks that you did about digital marketing. I think it was like in 2009 or maybe 2010 at like a car event or something like that. So I know you're doing some great stuff. Can you tell the audience about your background, please?
Thanks, Hector. I'm so excited to talk with you because you're always into it, right? You're always looking leading edge. You know, I'm just honored to be able to share and help your company move forward with this. Yeah. So just the one minute spiel is I first started selling real estate in 2004, right? Because I wanted to be in my own business, and I was just a natural entrepreneur from my experience, maybe even from college. And so the more that I did, the better I got. And I started getting into speaking, and just saw this whole new way of being able to share how I was using technology to serve my customers. And then in 2008, when I went full time and became this national speaker, which just grew this practice that's all over U.S. and Canada, and just serving clients on how can they stay ahead of with some of the latest trends. And as we've transitioned from, then 2009 was social media to the next phase was video, and now the next phase is voice marketing. The question now becomes is how do you stay ahead of the latest trends to where it's practical, it's affordable, and it's easy to implement. That's where I kind of come in, because look, as an entrepreneur, small business, or if you're representing the brand, you have to be able to move fast, right? So we're looking at the latest trend in voices. You know, number one, can you see what's possible? And then number two is how do you put the plan together? And I'm happy to share any of those steps in the process for what you're looking to accomplish.
In the surveys that I've done when I'm doing training, I've asked people who here has an Alexa or who here has a Google Home Mini. Do you have any demographic information about what's the changes happening and why it's so important to get into voice?
There's 100 million of Alexa-enabled devices sold. And that doesn't mean it's just one of the little smart speakers you can set on your kitchen counter, or maybe it's in your bathroom, or maybe now you have something installed in your car. There's 100 million of these things, right? This isn't just some bright, shiny object that's like gonna come and go. Like, this is here to stay. And even when we look at Google Assistant, the numbers are even bigger than that as far as Google Assistant enabled devices. 20 years ago, if somebody was going to do a search online, and if you were going to, would you show up? If not, what's the cost of not being there? Well, now we have this similar phenomenon in voice, where when people start to search for a neighborhood or a specific listing, or maybe they're going to search for just frequently asked questions when comes to the transaction, we have to wonder, how do we position ourselves as experts through this new and growing channel? And those who really see this as an opportunity kind of like become in a small category niche channel. Like, everybody has a website, a lot of people have a blog, so many people have a YouTube channel. How many people have a way to connect through Alexa? And the answer is like, it's still like in the 1 percentile, right? Wow. Like some of the the bigger brands out there, they're not aware of what can be done with this. So they're going to even be farther behind. There's just so many different opportunities. We can get all the way down to the tactical. Like, if you're an agent who's looking to do this, where you don't have a whole lot of money, you don't have a whole lot of time, but you want to gain presence, or just be able to show something off cool at open house or a networking party, we can go that route too.
That's really cool. Yeah, let's definitely do that. It reminded me of something that I was talking about during the trainings that I would do. I'd pull up the iPhone and I'd say, "Hey Siri, show me who the best real estate agent is in this particular market." Yeah. And then because of the integration that it had with Yelp, then it would pull up the agent that was tech savvy enough to realize that Siri was pulling from Yelp to get positioned within that search. And so that was voice enabled. And that was so long ago when I was doing that. It was like 3-4 years ago, I was doing those demos. How would an agent at a local level take advantage of what it is that you're teaching and the training that you offer.
Just for an agent at the office, when, let's say you're sitting in the kind of the boardroom and you're about ready to sign a contract, and somebody has a question and you might not necessarily know what the answer is. You can just ask Alexa, and if Alexa says it, it must be true, right?
Exactly.
When we look into the psychology of this, there's research now that says people are more willing to trust Alexa than they are a person, because Alexa's standardized, right? There isn't anything, but the question now becomes is who's actually writing in that response, right? And that's where we as content creators or marketers are able to get in and start to control that narrative, right? So that's where it starts. That's where it starts to get really exciting. So let's pretend you have an open house on 133 Main Street, right? Okay. Pick your city, state, zip code, or if you have an open house assistant, you have to ask yourself, well, if I'm a prospective buyer and I'm coming into a house for the very first time, what are some of the questions that I would want to ask about this specific property? What are the different neighborhood amenities that are available? What are there's the MLS side of things that you can pull up that type of information, but I'm talking about like some of the stuff you wouldn't necessarily get from an MLS. Now, you mentioned Yelp reviews. Yelp is totally integrated in Alexa. You can have that kind of setup, and so really, when you look at designing these types of conversational interfaces, what we want to do is look at what are some of the questions somebody might ask, anticipating by actually writing out that question, and then also write out the response of what Alexa might say or what you might say as a sales agent. As you know, real estate is a transactional business in a sense that we say the same things over and over again, just with different people. We have to think of that as we kind of go into Alexa with the same kind of like conversation. Is it better for me to have it over and over again? Or can I just put it into Alexa? Well, the default answer in sales is you always want to talk to customers, right? But in the chance of let's say you're busy or that you're not available, and there's like a little note card with your Alexa device that says, ask me anything about this property, and then gives a couple of little quick instructions. You just have a way of being able to differentiate you in the marketplace. Nobody's doing that right now, right? Like I remember 10 years ago, the way I would differentiate myself at open houses is I would bring my laptop and my projection screen, and I would have like a little flat rotating PowerPoint presentation. Well, nobody did that then, right? It was just
a lot of people still don't.
a lot of people still don't, right? So we as looking at differentiation, ways to improve the customer experience. What we want to have happen is at the early stages, right? Now, Alexa's not smart enough to ever replace a realtor, right? Let's just get that straight. That's not the intent here. What the intent is to supplement the experience with a conversational interface. Something that automated would be consistent, it would be reliable, and it would be automated. So just a couple more things to think about, moving down the pipeline.
So what would the steps be if you were to put them into steps, like a sequence?
There's different types of voice experiences that you can create depending upon what your budget is and what your flexibility is. Now, there's an example of what's called a flash briefing skill. Okay. And all that really is just a news summary of what's new and what's exciting to do in the area or do in the market. You might have heard before, like 10 years ago, where people would create blog posts of the 365 things to do in your area. Yeah. Well, this would be a great way to put this inside of a flash briefing. Somebody gets something new, fresh, exciting, and wants to do, and this is brought to you by your agent. Now, that would be recorded like as a podcast, an episode where you constantly have to create these podcast episodes that are no more than 10 minutes. But that could be submitted as a flash briefing that's out there. And a really good example of this is one of our mutual connections, Greg Lee Charlop. He has a real estate flash. He does a really good job with this, right? And what makes this, not only does he have really good episodes, he's really good at interviewing, like very genuine and authentic, but like he's consistent and he markets it across multiple platforms. So as he's generating new folks from, just on Alexa, he's also bringing his existing kind of community from his other, or from his existing community over to his Alexa device. So it's kind of fun to watch him do that.
That's great.
Now, If you want to create like an FAQ skill or a customer onboarding skill, that's totally do that. And the way you would set that up is by logging on to your Amazon account, and the website for that, if you want to put this in the show notes, is blueprints.amazon.com. If you look at like templates, where there's templates for Microsoft PowerPoint, there's different templates for Microsoft Word to create those types of documents. There's templates for these Amazon blueprints to where you can kind of create it. And so the two most popular are the customer FAQs and then the customer onboarding. So there's a new customer, what happens? You can kind of like walk somebody through the steps. Now, if you want to, and then there's like the next level. You want to really kind of start to get in here and create a customized experience that's unique to your brand without having to know a single line of code. Because like some of this is getting into the developer side. And we're thinking, oh my gosh, like how do I even where do I even begin? Like this is not what I went to school for. And again, like to set the record straight, I'm not an IT guy. I'm not a software developer. I became one, just like I had to become a professional speaker. Like there are skills that you have to learn. So if this isn't a skill that you want to learn, delegate it to somebody else or find a tool, like I'm going to mention here in a second, that you don't really like need to be a developer. And the tool is called VoiceFlow. So voiceflow.com is a graphical user interface that allows you to create custom Amazon Alexa skills and custom Google actions. And so what you can do is just like, you're going to kind of create these building blocks or Legos inside of VoiceFlow. You're designing what Alexa says, whether you want to have Alexa speak it in her tongue, or you want to have one of the many languages, or not many languages, but they have other voices of Alexa that you can choose from, and different, and some have different accents, which is kind of cool. Or you can record an audio, right? So it's actually somebody talking and not Alexa talking. So this is where it starts to kind of like go deep into building voice experiences, very similar to the capabilities of building websites, right? Now, they're the same, but they're not, right? Like of building a website and building a voice experience, it's like the same, and then it's like not the same. And so what I mean by that is like, do you remember like the very first website that you built?
Yeah, of course.
Or like when you became an agent for the first time and you like had your own website, it was probably pretty basic, right? It just had a couple of different features. And now you look at the features that are associated with that website. It's like it can do some really powerful things. And that's kind of like where we are with a voice. Like we're seeing some very basic voice experiences that are out there. And when we think about this, like in terms of like intellectual property, we have intellectual experiences that we have that can be replicated onto this platform that can really like extend and maximize our productivity to a whole new level. So, when we think of like smarter, bolder, faster, we can totally enable Alexa to be that and support the brand in that fashion.
That's awesome. But yeah, that's what I'm all about. I probably wouldn't be working at this capacity that I'm working at if it wasn't for me being ahead of the curve with technology and applying the clients that I work with. And so I know you've got an event coming up, and I know you got additional resources for our audience. Can you please tell us about your event and what you got going on?
So this is so cool. This is the second one, right? The first one we did in Washington, D.C. And the second one, it's the Voice Marketing for Real Estate Summit Conference, educational experience. If you've ever been through one of my full day programs, they're like super intense, right? And so what's so exciting about this is if you're an agent and you don't know where to start and you have these smart speakers and you really want the edge, like you need to be there. If you're a broker who's like wants to be leading edge and you have a bunch of agents you're trying to manage, you're trying to figure out, okay, multiple devices, do I need to have a business account and a personal account to be able to manage this thing? It can get so overwhelming. In fact, as you start to adopt these things, it could also increase risk if you're not careful. So like nobody's talking about this yet. And sometimes do we defer to the real estate commission for the case studies, or do we like try to avoid becoming one? so bro, it's definitely good for bro. And then like if you're like a software company, or belong to a real estate association, your leadership wants to be ahead of the curve. This is so exciting. By the time this gets published, everyone will know. But I've been hired as the lead voice strategist and developer for the Canadian Real Estate Association for Realtor.ca. So what does that mean? Like anything Canada has to do with a voice, like we are creating like the ultimate experience that's going to serve over 140,000 Canadian realtors, and we're going to bring that down. We're not going to share everything like that's there, but we're going to share some of the learning lessons along with other local associations that are benefiting from these experiences. So like all the way A to Z, strategy to implementation, like everyone who participates will be able to have developed their own Amazon Alexa skill by the time they walk out the door. Like that's our guarantee. We're gonna have to pay somebody to be able to do it. You'll be able to do it yourself. And then when it's time to hire somebody, you'll have all the questions ready to go so that you can spend your time more appropriately listing, selling, building your business as you move forward.
That's so exciting. Can you tell us the dates and your information on where people can learn more about that?
Yeah. So if you go to www.voicemaketingforbusiness.com/summit, and you have to put the www there, that'll give you like everything that we're going to cover, the location. We're going to be doing it at Circa LA, which is right downtown Los Angeles, right there. I think it's on Figueroa, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be at the Penthouse Suite. It's an amazing location. It's going to be right downtown where everybody's going to be at. So if you can be there, it's going to be a full day. We're going to start at 9. We're going to end sharp at 4.
Very cool. And obviously it's for real estate professionals. So that includes brokers, managers, sales associate. How about recruiters? Will recruiters be able to benefit if you're a real estate recruiter?
So this is so great, right? This is so great. When we think about like, why would I want to join your company? If you're a real estate recruiter and you have other people who are going out trying to pass your message along, like sometimes people like lose what the value proposition is. And so we can train Alexa or Google Assistant to say, Alexa, should I join Century 21? And then Alexa would give you back the script, right? So like you can even use Alexa for lead generation. She's starting to butt in now. You can use it for lead generation that works with SMS, so to be able to set up an appointment. Like there's those types of capabilities that are a part of that. So no matter like where you are in the real estate ecosystem, you'll definitely have an action plan to go out and implement.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I've got a lot of the show notes of the links and stuff down here in the comments below. But if you have any questions, where else can we connect with you?
Oh my gosh. So this is so crazy, right? As we're like, you think about different like innovations that are available. I'm going to give you a new phone number and you can add this to your show notes because this is known as a phone interactive voice response. And there's text message integration in with like too. So like we're totally changing the way that people are communicating with voice. So the number is 314-582-8808. Make sure you write that down, at least try it and see what that's experienced like and know that you can program something similar for your customers and clients.
Very cool. And what about like your social media, DougDevitre.com, LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Where do you prefer?
So here's what's funny. If you call that phone number, it'll give you the options. Then I'll send you a text message with the links to it, so you can click on it right there without having to like mistype it. Can you believe that? Awesome. So like on LinkedIn, on Instagram, Twitter, probably LinkedIn is where you're going to see most of the stuff that's coming out. And then I'm using the voice marketing hashtag. And then the brand that kind of like encompasses all this is Dianoia. That's DIANOIA.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. Well, Doug, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was extremely valuable, super exciting. I got one other question that came to mind, actually. How is this voice technology going to integrate with artificial intelligence?
Well, it's a good question. It already is, and I think what we have to like discover, what we have to think about ourselves is like we have the opportunity to kind of like type this script, but the artificial intelligence with this is really like making the model better so that Alexa can hear what you say and like more appropriately, and then give the response back. So, like, there's some things we have control over, and some things that we don't. What's also something kind of like that's kind of down the pipeline is. Amazon has released a new developer tool called RoboMaker, right? And so what RoboMaker is a device that kind of like walks around your house, right? And when they couple RoboMaker, where your little robot's now integrated with Alexa, now this is going to be like your little programmable pet that you have walking around your house. And if you think that I'm like absolutely crazy or that I've lost my mind, just start to Google some of these things.
All right, Doug. Well, thank you so much for your insights, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Los Angeles.
Yeah, thanks, Hector. Appreciate you. Take care. Have a great day.
Take care. You too.
And that is a wrap for the Think Status podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please give us a great review on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you heard this. Please connect with us on Instagram at ThinkStatus on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.
Llueve fuego del cielo, quemando a los que me quieren matar. Por causa de soberbia, mi piel morena me protegerá. Camino por las calles, el fuego alrededor de mí. Todo comienza a caer. Al cielo, el sol y las nubes, mil pajaritos al cantar. Ay, la, canta la, 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 cantará, ira, 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 cantar, cantar, cantar. Después mi gente se levanta, quitándose el traje de Babilonia, bailando ahora en vestido tradicional. La primavera ha regresado y el verano corazones calentará. Pronto que pronto nos convertiremos en la tierra, unidos con el mundo germinaremos con ella. Ojos serán hojas comiendo del sol y la mente se abrirá como una flor.